have this white man to the day you die, if you so choose. That is your prerogative. But what you can't do is believe you worship the Lord Jesus Christ. You're worshiping white supremacy, appropriation of the Lord Jesus Christ. In hot signal this, in this sign, Constantine said, or Constantine was told, you shall conquer. Constantine conquered the known world, not just with the cross, but he and the generations after him conquered the known world with this white Jesus. The extent to which you and we hold on to that white Jesus is the extent to which we are still conquered. You remain conquered. In your deepest faith, you remain conquered by Constantine and the subsequent Christian conquerors. Now, don't feel too bad, Christian. Now we're about to have an ecumenical moment. There are points, many points, unfortunate points, on which you Christian family and your Muslim family agree. And one point of agreement, both the Christian world and the Muslim world is conflicted by the lie of white supremacy, and your most sacred figure is the icon indicating the conquering of white supremacy in Christianity and in Islam. Our Christian family, you're in good company. You have been victimized. We have been victimized by white supremacy, Aryanizing of Jesus. Muslims have been victimized by white supremacy, Aryanizing of Muhammad. Now, I feel compelled to restate my caveat as I go into this portion. So there be no misunderstanding. I'm an historian of religion. And while I opened up religiously, I quickly took off my religious hat and put on my hat as an historian. Why do I emphasize that point, or re-emphasize that point? Because while the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, of all our studies, history is most attractive and best qualified to reward our research, it's also the case that history disturbs a lot of our theology. What I'm about to present is as disturbing to many Muslims as what I presented is to Christians. But history is history. It is our task as individual believers to reconcile the history with our interpretation of the faith. My obligation here tonight in Durham, my obligation in Chicago, Illinois, my obligation in Atlanta, Georgia, is present the facts. If the facts conflict with your theology. First, my condolences. Second, it's your burden to reconcile fact and faith. You and I have to wrestle with, negotiate fact and faith. I did not come to massage faith. The Christian situation in the Bible Belt, the white Jesus has been damaging to black people the world over. The white Jesus has us subconsciously believing that the white man is God. And that is nowhere more alive than in the South, than in the Bible Belt, than in places like North Carolina. We still believe the white man is God in North Carolina. You won't say it, we won't say it, but we act it. That's right. Our fear of him attests to the fact that we believe the white man is God subconsciously. And how can we not, since we are convinced that his son is white? But the damage that the lie of the white Jesus has done to the world, that same damage was done by this white Muhammad. So, Muslims and Christians, we are in the same boat, victims of white supremacy's appropriation of religion. Now, I want to say a little something. Muslims and now I'm using Muslim in a broader sense. We are an interesting lot. Sam Bastille, who has saw Innocence of Muslims? Who knows what I'm talking about, Innocence of Muslims? That video that sparked the riots in Egypt and was initially said to spark the riots in Libya to kill U.S. Ambassador Steve. A 10-minute trailer of a movie about the life of Muhammad. That, it's like slapstick comedy. It's foolish. It foolishly represents the Prophet Muhammad. And this angers many in the Muslim world. So, to be fair, or to be honest, it's not too difficult to anger Muslims as it relates to Muhammad. But that's an interesting phenomenon. It highlights a contradiction that is a perfect segue into this part of the concluding part of my presentation. This trailer is so angered the Muslim world because of its misrepresentation of Muhammad. And it was buffoonery. Now, in the initial reports The producer was an Israeli named Sam Fayetteville. He spoke with the Wallstreet Journal and said that he got $5 million funding from 12 Israelis to fund the production of this movie. When the violence erupted, and it was believed that these people so mad they killed a U.S. ambassador, the media played a cruel trick. It shifted responsibility from a Jew named Sam Fayetteville and 12 Jewish financiers to a Coptic Christian. The Coptic Christian is now in jail. They have made him responsible for the video that so inflamed Muslims that lives were lost. When it was clear that blood was shed, it was necessary to shift blame from Jews. They have put responsibility on a Coptic Christian. Don't believe. Nikolai was admittedly director of the movie, but they have spoken to those involved with the movie, but this hasn't made mainstream. In particular, a Jimmy Israel, a Jew, an important Jew, who confessed that Nikolai, the Coptic Christian, was not the producer of the movie. And he, Jimmy Israel, a Jew, was involved with the movie. So there is no question that some Jews are at the root of this awful characterization of Muhammad, and blame was shifted from an African Christian community. Be that as it may. And that is important, an important point I will get to in a minute. But be that as it may, the Muslim world is angry at this misrepresentation of Muhammad. We shed blood when Muhammad is misrepresented. They will shed blood to protect the character of Muhammad. But the Muhammad that they protect is as much a lie and misrepresentation as this one. Therein lies the tragic irony that blood is shed to protect one dangerous misrepresentation over and against another misrepresentation. And don't tell me this misrepresentation hasn't caused as much carnage as this misrepresentation has. If you go to the Sudan today, the North Sudanese and the South Sudanese world are today recovering from a bloody war that took many millions, ultimately, black lives. The black Sudanese the North Sudanese are black, Arabic-speaking Muslims. The South Sudanese are traditional African and Christians. I'm not going to go into that whole history, But I cite